Hi guys, so one thing I want to mention here is, because of an electrical diagnosis, one of my favorite tools to use is this power probe. Works like a test light, but you get a lot more features with it. You do have to hook it to a power source and a ground for it to work properly. This will supply the unit with power. Battery terminal is a little tough to get to on the BMW. So as you can see, it lights up. And now if I touch this tip to a ground, let's see, we get an audible beep. We know it's a ground. The green light comes on and it'll actually give you an ohm reading. If we touch it to a positive, hang on, let me turn the key on. I don't have anything hot yet. See, it's a different audible sound. And the red light will light up and it will actually give you your voltage. What's nice about this is if I want to add voltage to a circuit, I can press this rocker lever up and it will send power to the tip. So when you're trying to diagnose a load device, you can send power to it to make sure it works. I also have this little ground pigtail here. So I can supply a ground and a power with this. So like I could hook this to a light bulb and test the light bulb outside of the system. So because my fuel pump isn't running, as you can see the bike's on right now, and you may not be hearing the video, but audibly I cannot hear the fuel pump starting. So my first thing I'm gonna do is disconnect this plug to the fuel pump. And I'm looking at my service manual so I know which wires go there. Okay, so the brown wire is the ground, and the green wire with the white tracer is going to be our 12-volt supply. So what we're going to do is just add power to these and ground. And I hit it. You probably can't hear it, but I can hear the fuel pump running. All right, so that tells me that the fuel pump is good, which means our problem is not in the tank. It's got to be somewhere else. Now we've got a whole bunch of fuses and relays here. We should make sure that we're getting power to the fuel pump. So we know that the green lead coming in was it. So right now, key off. There's no power. Key on. No power. We're going to check the ground lead. We have a good ground, 0 ohms of resistance. So we know that there's no power coming to the fuel pump and the fuel pump is good. So now we need to find out where the power supply should be coming from. And according to the manual, I've already looked at this, it's coming from a fuel pump relay here. All right, everyone, so I've changed the camera angle so you can see better what's going on in here. And what I've done is this little carrier that the relays go in, I unclipped it from the distribution box so that I can get a little bit more room and get to the wires on the back of it. So the relay here is for the fuel pump, and this relay here is for the Motec system, basically the engine management system that's on here. So I'm looking at the wires, and again, our green with the white stripe is going to be our main power supply. No, I'm sorry. That is our trigger power supply, and the red with the blue stripe is coming directly from our fuse box, so it looks like it should have constant power. The other one should only have power when the key is on. So if you don't know how a relay works, you basically have two circuits. There's an activation circuit and then there's the current circuit. So the current circuit is going to carry voltage from the battery to the fuel pump in this case. The primary circuit, which is the activation circuit, it's going to tell that first circuit when to work. And the way that works is inside the relay housing itself is basically a small electromagnetic switch. So when the electricity activates that switch, it pulls down a plunger, makes contact to allow power to transfer from one pole to another within the relay. So it looks like the control circuit on this is controlled by the ECU. So the ECU has to tell this relay to click. When it clicks, power then goes from the battery to the fuel pump. So that's what we're going to test here. So it looks like we should have constant power, even with the key off, on the red with the blue. Now, it's a little tricky to see these wires in here. I know you're not going to be able to see them. Or maybe it's red with the green, I'm sorry. And sure enough, 12.5 volts. So it looks like our blue with the black is going over to the Motec system. So that's going to be our trigger. And then the green should be keyed power. And I have nothing there. Turn the key on. I have power. So that's all good. So now the solid green wire coming out, which is the same wire that we had going to our fuel pump, should be the power supply to the fuel pump. So when that one turns on, we should have power there. And we do. Sorry, somehow I jumped relays. All right, so now this is the Motec relay. Okay, so now the output on the fuel pump relay, so the red with the green, this should be power in, and when the key is turned on, we should have power out. All right, there we go. And when the key is turned on, we should have power out, and we don't. So power is not coming through that relay. Now, that relay's got to be activated by the ECU. So we're going to go ahead and check the Motec relay also. So here we've got power coming into the Motec relay. And we've got our constant power. Well, we should have a key power to the Motec, which would be either this one or the other one. All right, so when the key's on, it has power. And then the next one will be from the Motec to trigger it. So this power should come out and actually turn on the Motec system when this key's turned on. All right, now I don't know if you notice, but our audible tone went away, but our red light didn't light up. There is voltage present here, but it's 4.2 volts. That is not a sufficient amount of volts to power the system. So there's got to be some kind of a resistance within this relay. That should be relatively easy to check because I have a spare relay right here. So let's take this Motec relay out. We'll take the spare relay, put it in. All right, so all we did is change out a relay. Let's see what happens. Fuel pump still plugged in. Still don't hear fuel pump. So now again, got good power there. We go here, turn it on, and now we've got good power there. So the relay made a difference, but I still don't hear the fuel pump coming on. So let's go to the fuel pump relay. We got power there, no power there. So if I send power here, fuel pump runs. Nothing there. The green one should be power there. And we'll go here. Turn it on. Still not getting any power to the fuel pump. So there's a possibility we may have two bad relays, because I can show you here on this particular lead, I have a power supply on the outside of that. We have no power. We turn the key on. We should have power. Well, we had power for a second, but still no fuel pump. However, if I add power, I can hear the fuel pump run. That tells me the wiring from this point to the fuel pump is all good. The ground from the fuel pump is all good. So somehow either this relay is not clicking, it's not making contact, or it's not being told to make contact. But no power coming out of there. So it almost looks like we got a second relay bad. And I don't have another relay because it looks like it's being told to activate. It feels like I can feel it clicking. But there's two right here side by side. But it feels like they're both activating, but yet power's not flowing through it. Yep, looks like we got another bad relay. Well, that's disappointing. I was hoping to get this thing running today. It looks like that's not going to happen. All right, everyone, just on another note, what I did is I took spare relay out of here. I'm sorry, it's not a spare relay. It controls another circuit. I'm not sure which one. And I put it in the place of where we thought we had a second bad relay. And sure enough, with that being done, I turned the key on. I don't know if you can hear that, but the fuel pump is working just fine. All right, and it took a second to get it started because it hadn't been started in so long, and it did puff out a little bit of smoke, but she is running. Not fully warmed up yet, so it's gonna need a little bit more time. Okay, so the relay that I took out to put in there as a test, turns out it's only the horn relay. So for shot purposes, I obviously don't need a horn. So right now it seems to be doing good. I've let the bike warm up a little bit. And now you can clearly hear the fuel pump. It fires right up and runs pretty good. So I'm happy with that. At this point, I can move on to fixing the brakes. And then I can actually reassemble this motorcycle and put it back together. And when the relays come in, I just have to pop the seat off, pop the relay in. That should be a very quick fix. But so I just want to reiterate, you know, the taking the horn relay and putting it into that fuel pump relay position when I thought the fuel pump relay was bad, that really just serves as verification. It's a good way to eliminate any other possibilities. If that's the only thing you changed and the problem went away, then you got a really likely chance that that was the problem. And that's the case. And off camera, I did that multiple times. I actually put the old relay back in, no start. I changed the relay, I got a start. Put the old relay back in, no start. So that tells me the relay is in fact the problem. So I'm going to order another relay for it, but for now, we're going to call the electrical diagnosis part of this project done. We're going to move on to the brakes. This video is getting kind of long, so chances are that will be a separate video. So you guys just stay tuned. Definitely not the outcome I was looking for. I was really hoping to get this bike running. Pretty rare you get two bad relays at one time, but keep in mind this motorcycle is a 1995. I've owned it for a long time, but not since it was new. Those are very likely the original relays in it. So you figure 25-year-old motorcycle, it's not impossible for that to happen. So I guess we're gonna get a relay ordered, and when it comes in, we'll get back on it. Thanks, guys. I hope you like this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. Again, we're trying to build this channel and really need your help to do it. And until the next time, keep those engines running.